everyone. I should say good afternoon. I'm still on Trini time in Trinidad and Tobago. We call ourselves Trinis. And it's my first time being here in India and, of course, speaking at the World HRD Congress. And I'm here to talk about the importance of employer branding. And I'll give them some time to load the presentation. In the interim, I will say that a lot of what has happened this morning really spoke to what I am presenting from the perspective of employer branding. After listening to Mr. Dubey this morning, for example, speak about Mahindra and their proposition, their value proposition, I too wanted to sign up to work for that organization, and that's the importance and value of having proper employer branding, is to get people like me all excited about working for your organizations. So, besides all the other skills that are required of us as HR practitioners, being the resident psychologist, being the doctor in the organization, being the problem solver, we now have to become marketeers. We now have to learn a bit about marketing and how we go about branding our organization so that we can attract, retain, and keep the best talent that is out there. I work for an organization called the National Insurance Property Development Company. And it's a project management company in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have struggled considerably, especially over the past 5 years, for looking for key project management and engineering talent. We've had to even hire people from the Philippines, for example, and from India, engineers from India, because our economy experienced a significant boom that resulted in overheating and a lot of projects happening in Trinidad and Tobago that required the same talent, the fighting between several project management companies for the same exact talent. So what did we have to do now to attract, develop, and motivate and retain some of the good talent that we have out there? We had to focus on employer branding. And by that, it was focusing on identifying clear attributes that we were looking for as an employer organization, and aligning that with the structure and management practices of NIBDEC, and communicating that directly and indirectly to our target audience. And how did we go about doing this? Utilizing, of course, social media, the technology that is out there and available to us, recognizing that we have a much younger generation in the workplace with us. We also have a lot of females in the organization as well. Our leadership team actually has about 4 female executives on board. So we had to find ways to really attract, retain, and to keep some of these workers, and it required a focus on employer branding. The purpose was essentially to examine how, as an employer, we can embrace the principles, practices that is associated with brand management, and extending that beyond to just the simple notions of HRM, which is simply to recruit, put out an advertisement, and interview and select a worthy candidate. We had to look at it from a different perspective now and examine what is our value proposition, what clearly we are looking for in our employees, and how we could find a way to make it easier for us in HR now, where recruitment and onboarding employees and keeping them within the organization, how we could find innovative ways to do that. Employer branding relies on external recognition of leadership in the identified employer attributes. This message has to be consistent with the employer's value proposition. And a story, essentially we had to tell a story now about the organization. When you enter NIBDEC, what will you expect by being in this organization? What we focus on? Hard work that was valued within the organization. Commitment, achievement. We wanted to have a culture of achievement. And of course, being a Trinidadian, we like to celebrate. So every project that came on time, anybody who has ever been to Trinidad and Tobago know we like to celebrate every little thing. Anybody here ever been to Trinidad and Tobago? I see one hand, all right? So you could attest to that. Even if we were to lose a match, a football match, we would still celebrate. If we were supposed to lose a cricket match, and we've lost against India, the West Indies, a few times well, we would still celebrate in the country, and that culminates into the workplace as well. And we found ways and reasons to celebrate, especially when we got those multi-million-dollar projects in on time, within budget, and of course within the client's scope. So we also had to look at ways to get lots of positive press coverage as well. Being a state company and being subject to, of course, transparency and the whole host of scrutiny that goes along with it, with multi-billion-dollar and million-dollar projects. We had to find ways, of course, to get positive press that will encourage employees or prospective employees to want to work with us and to stay with us, recognizing that negative press can impact the image and hurt the organization and our ability to attract the best talent out there. I worked for another project management company before the one that I'm currently with, and we suffered from negative press significantly, to the point that when I had my ID badge on, I would flip it over. I would not want anybody to know that I worked for this organization. I was attacked in a speaking engagement, actually, when I identified the organization that I worked with. So that's the power of branding and the power of the media and the power of the message of the organization as we have out there and how it can hurt you in the war for talent.